Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Exeter Heritage Commission meeting to order for the 19th of February. I'd like to call to order the attendees. My name is Françoise Elise. I'm chairman of the Heritage Commission. Françoise or Fran.
I'm Bill Campbell, regular member.
And I'm Julie Gilman, Select Board Rep. I'm just moving down, so we're all cozy.
Okay. So we do not have somebody here to take the minutes.
They probably do it from the recording.
Okay, great. All right. The first item is review and accept the minutes from the previous meeting, January 15th.
I skimmed them, but I haven't really read them, but I think they're in pretty good shape. I would move to accept.
Moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. New business. Okay, so the Pearpoint Park Stakeholders Advisory Committee is requesting a volunteer from the Heritage the Historic District Commission and the Heritage Commission for their monthly meetings. And this is a meeting that they would like attendees to be able to vote at the meeting. Now, we know that you are on the committee.
Yep.
But you're not an official representative of the...
Would you like to be?
Well, I was sort of thought of when I was appointed as an alternate, and then I have been appointed now as a regular member. So, I mean, I'm a Heritage Commission person. And
Yes. So-
they put me on it, I thought, originally because, hey, you could be the Heritage, because there was nobody else applying initially. So, yeah, I'll go to the meetings anyway.
Okay, so I think we should designate you an official member from the Heritage Commission.
Okay.
And do we need to take a vote on that?
No, I
I
don't.
think it's an appointment by the chair.
Okay. So the next item, the New Hampshire State Commission on Aging every year has an award ceremony for older adult volunteers. And they are seeking nominations from each county in the state. So what I'd like to propose is that the Heritage Commission put forward Pam Jetting's name for the New Hampshire Commission on Aging Older Adult Volunteer Award for Rockingham County. I have a draft application here where we could add to the minutes. And what I'd like is for the Heritage Commission to consider this nomination, and after I present the credentials, which many people know of Pam's contributions to the community, that we consider forwarding this nomination to the Board of Selectmen for that body to nominate Pam to the New Hampshire State Commission on Aging. So that being said, could I do a summary, or do we need to do a summary on Pam's work?
I'm just going to do a summary, doesn't hurt.
Okay,
Sure, it goes into the minutes, that would be good.
okay, and I do have a draft application here with all the details, but basically Pam has been a very dedicated, enthusiastic, and outstanding volunteer, well-liked by the organization she serves, and revered in her home community in the town of Exeter, New Hampshire. Pam began her volunteer work with the Exeter Area Kiwanis Club, coinciding with the start of her employment at the library 42 years ago. It's really amazing. So I do have a support letter from the Kiwanis supporting the nomination.
Very good.
So at the Kiwanis, currently, she has served on a number of leadership positions, but she's currently the advisor to the Key Club at the high school. And there's 45 kids in the
Wow.
Key Club.
No idea.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Didn't know that.
So at the Kiwanis Club, she contributed a lot, but her memorable experience and accomplishment is the development of the Exeter UFO Festival, which now the proceeds of that event have grown to fund, I mean, the event itself has grown, but the proceeds have grown to fund many of the Kiwanis' charitable activities. After Pam's retirement from the library, she began work at the Exeter Historical Society, and she then transitioned to the board of the Historical Society. And the reason she took a board position, because at that time, the society is experiencing some financial trouble, and she fondly again recounts that the board and volunteers rallied for support for the society and recruited new members, and the campaign saved the organization. Pam began serving on the Exeter Historic District about the time of her retirement. She then began serving on the Exeter Heritage Commission as a representative from the Historic District. Most notably, on the Heritage Commission, Pam leads a team of researchers at the Exeter Historical Society that researches properties and homes that are where applications have been made to demolish structures in the town of Exeter 50 years and older. That is work that's done on the Heritage Commission Demolition Review Committee. And her research is just invaluable in us making a judgment in terms of advising whether a demolition permit should be approved or not. So she also holds volunteer positions on other groups in the area, but what I'd like to do is ask the Heritage Commission to approve this nomination for Pam to be nominated for the Older Adult Volunteer Award for the New Hampshire State Commission. And then I would like us to approve forwarding this to the Board of Selectmen for their act in officially nominating her.
Yes.
So I have one motion. Do I-
Yep, a second. Did you make a motion?
I did not make a motion.
Oh,
I
you
moved
just-
to
Just agree.
absolutely
Oh,
send the application in for the Senior Volunteer Award to the Select Board for their processing and sending it off.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I do have another support letter from the Kiwanis Club here.
yeah. If you needed another letter, I'm sure the library could give you, Hope could do something, because she got kind of an acknowledgement. When she retired, they really were nice to her and presented award. And I think there's a thing on the board, on the walls, that she...
For her service.
Because Dan Brown did it.
Oh, really?
He came in and
Oh.
made it a significant donation to the library in her name.
Oh. I do have her tenure at the library in the application.
Yeah, she
Right.
must have been the director at the time that Dan Brown was young, because I went to high school and Pam was running the library, so she really was a presence.
He tells a story about how she would get him books that he would go to the library to technically do homework or do classical books or classical music, and she would let him read Hardy Boys and things like that behind the desk. She was good.
I've heard that story.
Yeah.
That's great.
I would move that we approve this nomination and forward it to the select board.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries.
Yep.
So we have another item on the agenda of a similar nature. The New Hampshire Preservation Alliance each year has an award presentation for projects, people, entities, efforts in the state of New Hampshire for exemplary work in the area of historic preservation. And I have a draft nomination here before me, and what I'd like to do is present John Merkel's name for the Heritage Commission to nominate him for a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, that's nice. Very nice.
And I do have a draft application here, and I do have a summary I'd like to read.
Sure.
This is a summary.
Okay.
Okay. So the summary, this would be John W. Merkel, AIA, co-founded the firm TMS Architects in Portsmouth, New Hampshire in 1984 and was president of the firm. He has been a registered architect for over 30 years with multifaceted design experience, which includes new construction, alterations, adaptive use, and historic preservation. A graduate of New York Institute of Technology, he has served as past president for the New Hampshire chapter of the American Institute of Architects and American Institute of Architects, New England. His firm has taken on monumental and significant restoration projects with great success, such as a historic Wentworth by the Sea Hotel and the Portsmouth Music Hall. John's history of volunteerism is legendary. John has invested his time, expertise, and energy in his home community of Exeter, New Hampshire. John was the past chair of the Exeter Historic District Commission and initiated the creation of the Exeter Heritage Commission, of which he was past chair for many years. John has led and supported statewide preservation activities as a member of the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance Board of Directors from 2003 to 2010, and as chairman of that organization from 2007 to 2009. John has been a tireless advocate for the strong role and a strong role model for historic preservation in his profession and community life. I propose that the Exeter Heritage Commission nominate John for his outstanding and valuable contributions as he has made during his lifetime.
So moved.
Yes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I do have some pictures that John's firm has forwarded to me of his
Oh.
projects that will be included
Good.
in the package.
Very nice.
And
And this is something that would be done by the Heritage, would be submitted by the Heritage Commission.
Yes.
With a letter of support from the Select Board,
oh, well, okay,
yeah,
all right.
which I can write up, and the Select Board will deal with both of those at the March 4th meeting.
Okay, letter of support, so I'll include that in the official application. And so these applications are due the 14th of March.
Better be March.
Yes, the 14th of March.
I appreciate you doing those.
Yeah.
They're very well written, too. The write-ups are good.
Well, I think they're both extraordinary for different reasons. And
Yeah.
I thought our commission had the opportunity to advance their names and their recognition.
Sure. Perfect.
Okay. Updates from the representatives from the Select Board. Any updates?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We have a meeting Thursday coming up.
Okay. Did you want to talk about something from the planning board?
Not the planning
Oh,
board, no.
planning, okay.
No.
Okay.
Oh, Pearpoint Park? Pearpoint Park?
Pearpoint Park, we're in the process of coming up with a draft of an idea. We, last meeting, considered, I don't know, there's like several hundred people or suggestions, maybe some from the same person, and had categorized it, and there was a committee to kind of look and see, well, probably not a Ferris wheel and things like that, but we're going to look at what are some of the biggest things that are the most, important to the people, and we're supposed to talk about that this time with a preliminary design.
Right,
But-
oh, that's great.
Getting there slowly.
How about the Historic District Commission?
We have not met in many months because
Okay.
there haven't been any applications, so.
Okay. My understanding that there might be a grant delay for a grant granted to the Historic District?
It's possible.
Yeah, exactly. There's
Okay.
nothing definitive.
Okay,
Were we awarded the grant yet?
Yes,
So we were awarded the grant, we haven't, but we don't have the proceed to, go ahead and proceed.
it is going, I got an email from the Division of Historical Resources last week, and asking us to update the grant agreement, just reinitial it, re-sign it,
Yep.
because of the dates or whatever, and they're moving forward, I believe, to the March 12th Governing Council.
Ah,
As far as I know, everything is moving forward. Whether the funds, will
Whether
be
they-
there or not, still remain to be seen.
okay, great. Okay.
excellent.
So,
I don't know, you talked about the planning board. I'm going to go talk again at the planning board whenever 112 Front Street comes up. Not that, my major concerns, I was saying to you, is
Yeah.
the movement now to put as many units into a development as possible, regardless of whether they fit in the neighborhood or fit in the town even. The declaration by, at least in the newspaper by John O'Neill, was that the facade of the new building that would be in front, 5 units, would fit in beautifully with the historic buildings that are down Front Street, the historic houses. I don't see that as a real winner right there. I would hope that I'm not against, I'm not going to try and argue against him not developing the area, but it seems to me he could do a little more with at least the front of the buildings, such as they did on Franklin Street, up by, was it Main Street, up near Lincoln Street, there were those buildings, which again are massive,
Yeah.
and I think too much in a space, but fine, the board's approved it, but they also look a little bit more colonial than, or at least fit in a little bit more. I'm afraid with his ideas, it's more like an apartment house, and that's looks like it'll also be the same for the front part of 76 Portsmouth Avenue, the second development, which is going to be at least initially was high 4-story buildings again, and now a hotel is proposed where Blue Ribbon is, that's going to be a 4-story building, or they haven't proved that. I've got to look at the meeting, it was last night, I missed it. And it was forwarded, postponed, but I just don't want to see us looking like Portsmouth downtown.
yeah.
That brings up a question I have for you, Dave. When we get a demolition permit request, it comes through Doug because he's the code enforcement officer, and we respond to Doug. But it seems like, and I don't know that it's required, I just want to ask, should a copy go to you for the planning board?
I will check on that. I mean, that's not what, I don't see it, but I thought Barb.
Thank you.
I'll check with Barb, because I thought we,
No, it hasn't been the practice, it's just that this project, for example, on Front Street, there were some suggestions in it, and some, not agreements, but some acknowledgements that I think the planning board should know about, at least while they're considering it.
Yeah, I believe it was discussed, if I want to, because John Gruder
Okay.
was on the demolition
Right.
review committee, I believe, for that
Right.
one, and attended the meetings, and it was also at the planning board, and I believe it was discussed, if my memory serves me right. But they are aware, I know
Okay,
that.
all right.
But I will make sure, moving forward, if it's not done already, that any memo that gets created, for a demo goes into the planning board packet.
Okay, thank you.
For any future applications.
That was John O'Neill. We've had different directions of development, and obviously we're going to see more development. But is there anything that any group can do to almost like Francois said, maybe have a charrette or something? I don't want to see Globe selling out their place, the old, the stores along there for a bunch of 4-story buildings to build a bunch of hotels. Portsmouth Avenue going to be all 4-story large buildings. I'm not sure, that's not what I want, but I don't know what the town would want. The hotel could be 4 stories, there's already one, 2 big buildings there on them, and that's all right. But if we all go that way, I don't know.
Bill's talking about a strip where on the Vine is and Rite Aid.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
whole area, I mean,
Does it-
50 feet has been allowed via special exception well before I got here for a very long time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, it could already be all 50 feet by now, but development generally doesn't work that way. It's not, it moves at a fairly slow pace because a lot of those sites are being utilized. And, they're actively used and rented. And so, one might come in here and there like a recent proposal for a hotel there out on there, but I mean.
I could see more or less others being done on the other side of the street if they develop the auto parts place that way, then go across to go down further, and there are a couple of low buildings, housing. Things like credit union and whatnot, those sort of 1.5-story buildings, they could all be bought and developed too, and we just get a nice row of 50-foot apartment houses or businesses, I think apartment houses.
Do you know if any of those projects are taking advantage of the MUNS program that we had?
Not the Blue Ribbon, the only one that has a MUND application is, and not Front Street, and the only one that has a MUND application is 76 Portsmouth.
See, that's part of what, if you look in our zoning ordinance,
Right.
the multi-use neighborhood district, that will help in your concerns as far as keeping.
I guess it's
the-
just an old
looking-
curmudgeon's view of things.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess it's a decision point. It's as you get pressure to develop. Okay, if you're going to get pressure to develop, and the question is people have property rights and so forth, so you have to allow something in zoning. So if you are going to allow it, that's the first question. Do you want to kind of make it so you kind of keep it status quo? But if you have capacity, you have network capacity, transportation capacity, natural resource capacity, you have those water capacity, sewer capacities, you can grow if you so choose. If you do, then the question becomes, if you do want to pursue it, how? And when you go up, you allow more density to stack on top of each other. Some people don't like the aesthetics of it, but if you don't go up, what you do is you push it down, it spreads out across the landscape. So now you have sprawl, and you're adding more roads, more infrastructure, more bridges, more pump stations. So a lot more value a lot more things, valuable things to maintain as a community. So the planning board, when we adopted the MUND, we looked at it and said, okay, we can grow, but let's grow where infrastructure exists to support it. Where a roadway exists, sidewalks exist, sewer pipe, water lines, pump stations that already exist. We're not adding new infrastructure that costs tens of millions of dollars and then hundreds of thousands of dollars to maintain every year. Just put more users on the same system. So I guess it's a judgment position, like how you want to develop. If you want everything a story and a half, well, then you're gonna, spread out and across the landscape and probably less environmentally friendly, less sustainability, because you're going to take more trees down, encroach on more wildlife habitat, and so forth as you spread out. As you go up, you stack on another story that doesn't take any trees down, that doesn't fill in any wetlands. So it's kind of a decision. And then the planning board reviewed all that and decided to open up Portsmouth Ave as we have plenty of right-of-way there. Some places we have over 100 feet of right-of-way. So there's a lot we can do with it from a complete street standpoint and so forth. We have sidewalks on both sides, we have water, sewer capacity. So that was kind of an area that, the planning board decided when we went to the voters and they voted that in. So what a group can do, I guess, the planning board could revisit it. People could champion for any zoning changes, because that's what you go to. If it's allowed by zoning, it could be built.
Yeah.
And if you don't like what zoning does allow, then you change the zoning.
I guess, Dave, isn't that sort of what happened to the first part of 76 Portsmouth Avenue? They had proposed big buildings, tall buildings, and people didn't like that. And so then they went to these units, whatever it is, 34 units in that, I maybe have the number wrong, but where they've made their new development in the back section of their development. I suppose they could have put the same number of units in if they'd stacked them.
Oh, they could have put a lot more. They had
Yeah, that's the other thing.
more than double the amount of units originally back there.
Right.
With the 4-story, 50-foot height buildings. The neighborhood came out and really did not like that idea. So
Well-
they looked at it, and they had a couple of different options that they could pursue. One was continue with the bigger buildings, or go to a townhouse style, keep them 35 feet, and knock the density in half. And so that's what they decided to go forward to do.
Is there any regulation in there? Especially with, well, I'll see what the new one is at 112. Is there any room, they have to leave any room for enjoyment of the area? My question to them was, where do you put a sandbox even in that development? It's all roads, and it seems to be all driveways and entrance on the original plan.
Yeah, that gets, if you talk about an urban area, like go down in the WC, there is no place for a sandbox
Right.
anywhere in this zone in downtown Exeter. So as you go out, it transitions to less and less dense, and then there's plenty of room in a sandbox if you go down the end of Pickpocket Road. You got miles. So generally, you zone it so, you allow more density. It's the people's choice if they want, but you regulate that through zoning. You regulate through minimum open space requirements, which there are, minimum setbacks, and so forth. So you create that space that, in theory, could be used for what you use for. It just becomes less and less in zoning as you get more urbanized. Which rightfully so.
Yeah.
Downtown WC, someone, takes down, whatever, wants to redevelop, their building is their lot. The 4 walls of their building are actually their lot, so.
Well,
I guess it's a preference on what people prefer. Some people prefer to live in, dense area without any grass to mow or, pick me.
I was gonna say, I'm graduating to that.
Exactly. So, and then some people prefer the, 2-acre lot with, an acre of Kentucky bluegrass lawn that, they water and maintain. I guess it's personal choice. But I think we zone it across pretty good in Exeter. You know, we have plenty of, I think the majority of land area in Exeter is zoned for pretty much large lot, single family.
Yeah. I shouldn't take, we should do the agenda here, and
Well, no, I do agree with you, Bill, that I loved Portsmouth, but it's overbuilt now, as far as I'm concerned. And the value of Exeter is that it's not. And I would agree that it's the people's preference, what they want to see, or what they want to happen. And I would say the zoning has been pretty good. I mean, the TIF district, that's a really good example of some good planning. How often is the master plan updated?
Well, the state recommends, it's not a required, it's just state recommends every 5 to 10
5 to
years.
10 years.
I think it had been more than 10 years when I got here. It was like the early 2000s, and it was in the works, being proposed, an update when I got here in 2016. We completed that in 2018, and then I put it in the CIP, I think last year, for the out years. I don't know if it's 28 or 29. I have it in there, but it's still a few years away, simply because we're still working on all the implementation of the different, we're working on all of them. All of the recommendations that we've done something on them, either completed them or are working toward them. And we still have a bike and pedestrian master plan that we're finishing up actually tomorrow at the Master Plan Oversight Committee, kind of finalizing the report, getting that out, and then, you know, to the folks and doing, you know, doing meetings and so forth and public information. And then we're starting the complete streets study right after that. So we still have some, you know, some studies and recommendations to implement, and then it would be appropriate to do the master plan update again, which would fall in about 10 years.
And I thought the report was 218, I don't remember the year, but when they did the report of they were saying that of the 67 recommendations or points in the beginning, they'd done about 65 of them. Or
Now they're 60, it's 66 or 66 now.
Right.
Well, not completed, but
I see.
being worked on.
But not ignored.
Not ignored at all. No, it was
No.
a really good document. Look forward to doing it again. It's just, we're just not ready bandwidth-wise and finishing up several items still, the parking and downtown traffic analysis, the bike and ped plan, the complete street study, and those, so I think it would be, you know, we're a small department, so we're gonna finish up those, and then we'll be ready for a new master plan update.
You know what I think would be wonderful for the townspeople is that when all those studies are complete, that maybe a presentation be done, I don't know, maybe in the form of a charrette where you present all these things that have been accomplished, and then, you know, people will, I'm going to just backtrack a little bit. I know with the master plan, you do a good job talking to heads of department, heads of organization, the business community about what they want to see in the master plan. But maybe the community could come together and we could have some kind of charrette where you presented the work that you've done, and to reaffirm, you know, this is where we'd like to go.
Yeah, I mean, during the 2018 master plan, we had a couple of public charrettes that were, for public forums, I've never seen such attendance. I mean, Exeter community came together, provided their input. I want to say we got public comment from over 1,000 people during that master
Yeah.
plan, outside of the groups you mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, just from the public. So I thought it was a very successful public you might not have
She wasn't.
been
I wasn't
here.
here.
Okay, for that one, yeah, so
Yeah.
it was a very
It was.
thorough process. I mean, we did a survey that we got, you know, 700-800 responses from. I mean, we had over 200 people come to the high school to the first master plan meeting. So I just, you know, you're lucky to get 40 or 50, you know,
Right.
people, honestly, in this kind of size town. And it was very impressive with the volume of public interest and input into that master plan. So I would hope that we would recreate that on the next plan as well.
I was surprised the number of responses we got just on
hasn't-
Kerpoint Park, that little tiny park, and we've got several hundred responses.
Yeah.
And what, It just, people are interested in the town. It's just.
Yeah, it's
good.
one of the more engaged communities
Yeah.
I've ever been a part of, and that's good. You get a lot of good input, so.
Good. All right.
So you'll consider making that a part of the next?
Yeah, it has to be.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, that's really was part of the
Okay,
last
great.
one, it'll be
Okay.
part of the next one, and,
Okay.
I mean, we do charrettes, we do public input sessions, we hold, events at the town hall, I mean, various
Yes.
public events throughout.
Yeah.
And to recap the master plan and the studies, we do that on a fairly consistent basis when needed to go to the select board. So, well, once the bike and ped plan comes out, we'll do a presentation. That's usually the forum.
Okay.
Planning board, select board, we go there, we do a presentation on that, and tell them what we've done, what we're working on, and so forth. So we will continue that, definitely.
Okay, great. Is that the,
Sure.
okay, so,
Fine.
okay, that was a good discussion. Okay, so we'll go on to old business. Last week, we were considering, the Heritage Commission was considering a coordinating program with the Exeter Historical Society. And we're looking at their historic walking tour app, and maybe we could coordinate activities on that to promote it and promote people going to the historic sites in town. And I think the discussion that we had moved towards the fact that we wanted to expand the app to have more sites. And to do that, there would have to be funding, and that would be a partnership where we could partner with them to help them expand the app.
Well, it would help them expand the app and help us also with our educational aspect of our mission.
Yes.
We had met, you and I had met with the assistant town manager about how to proceed with that kind of thing. Can we post their app on our website? And that just takes us down this rolling mountain of snowball that every nonprofit's going to want something on our website. So what we thought would work out well is that because I personally think that there's some other spots that should be included. Maybe you don't walk to them because they're on the edges of town, but they might want to be included because we're part of scenic byway. A couple of our roads are. And people have asked me, actually, is this the scenic byway? Is there any place for me to stop besides here? That there are places that we could add as a Heritage Commission to their compendiary of knowledge, and in that way, we can use their app because we're contributing it to it. So that's the kind of partnership that we can do as long as we're part of it, that we're not just outright advertising.
Right, so we'd like to look at that and see if that's something that the Exeter Historical Society would like to work with us on. So I think that would be the next step is, do you want to work with us on that?
Yep.
Okay. Another item, the neighborhood meeting that we were looking to have with the Pine Elliott Street Neighborhood Survey. I contacted the company that did the preservation survey, and they are proposing that a presentation to the neighborhood with slides and everything, and was not included in the original grant. That was not funded in the original grant. So in this package, there is a letter from the company that says that they could produce a meeting for the neighborhood, and it would cost $2,500 to do that. So I'm thinking that, I don't know if we have that in our budget, but if we do not have it in our budget, that what we would need to do would be to raise that money through a grant or something to put this on, or because it would be an extra expense, we could table it.
No, I think we could do it ourselves.
Okay. Okay.
The information that we got is quite in-depth.
Yes.
And we have all the photographs, et cetera, that we can put together a show ourselves.
Okay.
For the town, not just for the neighborhood.
Okay.
And we've done that a long time ago, and
Okay.
I think our first one on Franklin Street.
That was for the historic district, wasn't it, that we did?
No,
No?
no, it was the Heritage Commission.
Because we're not proposing a historic district here, we just...
No.
No, it's
Right.
just informational.
It's an assessment of the historic
Right.
value of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
yeah.
It qualifies, but we're not
Yes.
recommending it.
Right, right.
If somebody would like to kind of take the responsibility of doing it, I think we could do it ourselves. I'm not sure, I'm not one to do that.
Well, I did the mapping one a long time ago, when we first did the mapping project before
Yes.
you were here.
Yeah.
And I showed that here and at Riverwoods, a couple other places.
Really?
Didn't really open it up, didn't have the support help to organize, like doing something at the town hall. But that's, absolutely, this could be the case, and we might even, if we time it right, or see what the timing is of how long it is, we might add the Park Street survey that we did, or the Franklin Street surveys. Like, this is what we do.
Okay.
And part of what we're doing is contributing to the state's historic preservation plan, where they would really like to have surveys like this done for every town. And some towns are small enough that they can do it in one go, or maybe two. But Exeter's way too big, but has a lot of important features. So we've been breaking it up based on settlement areas in town.
So that would take some work, and I know that you currently have a lot
That would
things on
take
your plate.
Yeah, that would take some weekend work for me until the end of June,
Okay.
probably. I might get a couple weeks off in March, I don't know.
I wonder if something like that wouldn't just heighten the awareness, too, of what's happening in town with development and
Right,
whatnot.
that's what you said, yeah.
Which is, so I think it would be good that way, too. But I would think they might find that very interesting.
Well, the presentation idea brings up one that we have talked about before, but not had anybody step up to move forward on it. We've done so many demolition reviews, I think it'd really be nice to go back, because we take pictures every time of what we're talking about, what's being demolished. And I thought it would be a good idea to go back and see what replaced it. And we just haven't had the
Yeah.
people or time to do that. And so that would be even another presentation, I think would be kind of fascinating, actually.
So you think we might be able to do the Elliott Street, Pine Street one ourselves?
Yeah, I think that would be fairly easy, because we have the document,
We have a lot of stuff.
yeah, and when we have the narratives that go with the buildings, and it really, just takes somebody we could do it on TV. I would do a walking tour. I had talked to Bob Glowacki actually about doing that in one of these survey areas, and just doing a voiceover as we walked by, maybe having a person there for scale, but not necessarily talking. But different people on the committee can take a piece of that and do the tour.
Very interesting.
So that, it's just been a, hey, what if kind of thing,
Yeah.
not something specific. So if we want to go ahead, we can have them here at a meeting to talk about the methods that we would undertake.
That's a really
two
good
ideas.
suggestion. Yes, I know. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. So we just have to look at the work. Who's going to take the lead on that? And-
Oh, I owe you all the work.
Oh, yeah.
I meant to bring that in.
Okay, next time.
Next time,
Okay.
okay.
So those are a couple of things. Would a tour like that or something like that be appropriate for one of the activities in the month during the 250th anniversary of the signing of Declarations of Independence?
Yeah,
That work is coming. You're.
I know. Yeah, I'm looking for ideas because our meeting is next month. But yeah, that absolutely, we should throw some things around. I'm thinking the Water Street survey would be interesting because the Lad Gilman house is not the Lad Gilman, the Gilman Garrison is in the district. Well, actually, they both are. And it's the oldest building in town. And then as we move downtown, we get back to the history of town. But during that time period from 16 whatever to 1775 or 1776, things changed in the town, and we can talk about how that happened. Like, why are the buildings Victorian instead of what had been there originally? And one of the things that the group is, the 250th mission is to promote how democracy changes things. So that's where we get into maybe zoning, because it's the will of the people, and something like that. I don't know. That's something to think about what we would organize to be a part of that.
Okay, maybe so we could put two things together if possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so maybe that could go on your agenda for the 250th anniversary?
That is a good idea.
Okay, great. Let's see. Does anybody have anything that they want to bring forward for the information and discussion on the programming for the Exeter Historical Society, the Independence Museum, the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources, New Hampshire Preservation Alliance?
I wanted to ask you, did you do the Preservation Alliance workshop
Yes.
Zoom in January?
Yes.
What was covered there?
Well, they were reviewing the guidebook. I forgot the name of the guidebook on bringing forth historic preservation in your community. And it talked about the difference between the Heritage Commission and the Historic District. And it talked about, well, one of the things I brought forward was recruiting for board members. And they were preparing to revamp the booklet or the information, and it was really very interesting because a number of communities like Stratham were on the call, and they were talking about the efforts in their town. So they were looking for suggestions on how to improve the guidebook, and the two says, I don't want to repeat myself too much, which I can do, is recruiting people to be on the commission, as well as recruiting students to sit on the commission. Those are two things that I suggested because I thought the book in and of itself was very, very well and very clear. And just thinking back, a suggestion that I did make is that every year, or maybe every other year, they should do a video webinar to initiate new heritage or historic district commission people and orient them to the guidelines in the book, which were very, very educating and clear. So let's say if you haven't had any experience on a land use board or in a municipality, this guidebook is extremely helpful.
Is that the one that has all the grant opportunities?
There is grant, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have a copy of it. It is pretty old.
Yeah, and I did forward the grant opportunities to the the Heritage Historical Society, as they're working on a project to get, I guess you call them revolving shelves in their institution. We do have a letter from a gentleman on Park Street, Joel Chandler. He sent a letter to me and his Heritage Commission, and I was very impressed with this letter. This person obviously has given a lot of thought to how an individual could protect their property regarding demolition or even historic preservation easements. He was very, very, very knowledgeable on that. And he was suggesting in the letter that we do more with educating the public on how to do this individually versus creating a historic district or a heritage district. And, he listed things like preservation easements, creating a homeowners association, expanding boundaries in a historic district. I didn't know about this one. Purchase of architectural or other rights to existing structures. And he also talked about outright purchase of properties. So I was very impressed with his letter, and I think it would behoove us to do something where, to hold a workshop or informational sessions, how individuals themselves could take the responsibility of putting in their deeds that they didn't want the building demolished, or they wanted certain things kept in line. So that was my opinion of of Joel's letter. Should I get back to Mr. Chandler?
Well, certainly thank him for his wonderful suggestions. I'm not sure what authority the town itself or the Heritage Commission has to do some of these things, but they're big picture items. Some of them purchasing property. That is not, we have the authority to do that if we had the funds. So we would have to, like, much conservation fund there is to support maintaining the Rains Farm barn and other projects that they do. We have a similar fund that we could ask for a contribution to, but that one I'm not sure of. The other ones are some things that we could certainly look more in depth into. The expanding new historic districts has been a failure repeatedly, so I'm not sure we might even want to try that. I mean, there's of course reasons to do it because of the protection of the resources there. But that would take some sales. I mean, we did it on High Street, and it took several tries from the planning board to accept that zoning change. We went from, 50% buy-in from the residents to, then they gave us a goal of, you need 75%, and we got that, and then they gave us a goal of, you need 95% of that, and we did get that. So there are only 2 property owners on the length of the historic district that, did not want to opt into it. And both of them are, one of them was a fellow from England who said these houses aren't old. Because he lived in a much older community. Found that very, very funny, entertaining. So we certainly look at it, and that's why we do those surveys, to see if there's potential there. And the ones we've done have all had some potential to be designated as an historic district, but not necessarily because they look nice, but because of what kind of history happened there. So you have to, make that decision.
Right.
Is it about the neighborhood, how it grew together, or are there specific pieces of architecture that make it worthy? Or is there enough, I guess, is what it is. On High Street, for example, we have. You may not think that it looks like a very historic district. It's not really cohesive in the styles that are there, but that was part of it, was that there are so many styles that show the growth of town as the town expanded out. But we have didn't have any intention of going further than that. It had been tried up around the Cass Street area, which is quite dense, it's right next to the Park Street area survey that we did. It's quite a dense street of, I think, around the same age buildings. And it was just a short little piece that was proposed, and that was resoundingly defeated at the ballot box. So no one's really tried since then.
Yeah, I was very surprised at that when we did it. Yeah. I wonder if something like this would fit at the end of a presentation we do on Elliott Street, Pine Street, after we've done the presentation, that something like Joe's thing. I didn't read this. I didn't realize it was attached, right? But he might be able to give some ideas to people who are there who might say, yeah, I'd like to make sure, my place stays the same. I'd have to read his letter a little bit better, I guess. But,
Okay,
let's see.
I definitely will communicate with him and thank him for his letter.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah. Ask him to join our commission. Our committee.
Doesn't hurt.
Is there anything that anybody wants to bring forward at the meeting?
No, I think that.
No,
Okay, so I'll adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.